All right, so I thought I would do a little experimenting with some slabs. So I took this old cup and I wrapped it in cellophane so that the clay doesn't get stuck to this really bad. And I think I can peel that off of there with the cellophane on there later. It's just to give me something to work on, like a form. So what I thought might be cool is if I just take my slab and I'm just going to kind of randomly cut some shapes out. So I could also just wrap this whole thing in clay, which I might do in another video. Right now I just want to stop losing my knife. Okay, there it is. So, maybe I'll do I wish that was thinner. Let's put some texture on it. We'll thin it down with some texture. So I just have this old, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's a meat tenderizer. It's been a part of my ceramics kit for like 20 years. I'm not even sure where I got it. Makes cool texture though. Don't know that it thinned it down as much as I wanted it to. It's better. So what I want to do is, I don't want the edges to be all sharp like that, so I'm just gonna kind of pinch them down. And what I'm gonna make is just a cup kind of form. It doesn't have to be really functional. I'm just playing around, just being creative. And that's what it's all about, and that's what I like to see my students do too, is just play around and have fun with it. You're not playing with clay to make something because you need something, you know? You don't need to have another cup in your kitchen. You don't need to have a flower pot. But it's fun to play around and make things, so that's why we play around and we do stuff. Okay. Start with something like that. And what I'll end up doing is cutting this off level on the bottom. So I'm just gonna make a few pieces like that to get myself started. Different sizes. So when you're working and creating, you don't have to have a big plan. You know, this is not engineering. This is creating. You know, engineering comes into what you create because you got to build things that somehow will stand up and stay together. But we're just trying to be creative. Kind of follow your instincts. Instincts can guide you. A big part of the creative process is, you know, starting to understand what good design is. Starting to allow some of those theories of design come into what you're doing. But in the beginning here, it's all about just kind of playing around and having some fun. Don't worry about making things that have a purpose. Yeah, sure, that's great when you're all done if something turns out and you can use it for something. But the creative process is important. It's what allows us to, be human. It's what separates us. And this might fail utterly. It comes all down to that whole concept of trial and error. You play around and you make things, and sometimes they're successful and sometimes they're not, but you learn a lot from the process. Not every piece you make is going to be a giant success. And it's important to understand that. As an example, I'm a sculptor and I make objects that hopefully people will find interesting enough to want to look at and ask me questions about. And I put those in a gallery. And not every piece that I create ends up in the gallery. To figure out how to achieve the look or design that I'm going for, it takes making multiple pieces. Not every single piece you create is a masterpiece. You're going to have some flops. You're going to have lots of fails. And that's part of the creative process. All right, so I'm just slipping and scoring all these pieces together. One of the great things about making art too is that it can be a stress reliever. When you're doing it right, you kind of lose yourself in the process. It shouldn't be creating more stress. It should be kind of giving you a reason to sort of blank out and focus and kind of forget about the rest of the world for a while. scratch it up a little better. Another thing that pinching these edges down does too is it allows them to slip these pieces together. Like that piece is gonna go under there, and then that piece is gonna go over top, and it's just a way to start locking things together. And I'll probably tinker around with a lot of the texture on the outside too once I'm done here. And like this part right here, I'm gonna pull some of that out, flatten that down a little bit more right there. I think the next piece will wedge in like that, so that they're not all going in the same direction. It's just something like that'll work. Sometimes you can't get behind there, so you've got to use whatever tool lets you kind of scratch it up a little bit. Did I do that backwards? No, it was like that. Okay. I did do that backwards, didn't I? There. Now I got it. you're doing this, one thing you have to be able to do is just kind of get all the distractions to a minimum and just get inside your own head for a while. Something like that. And this is I mean, I'm doing this really quick. It's gonna be kind of deceiving, like how quickly I throw this together. The one thing that you're, in these quick short videos you're not getting is all the kind of tinkering I do off camera. And I do quite a bit. If I captured everything that I did with these things on camera, you'd be bored out of your mind watching me for that long. So I'm gonna make a bottom for this. And I'm just gonna basically sketch all the way around using my needle tool. And then, so I remember how I lined this up. What I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna put a little mark right there and a little mark right there so I can remember how it lined up. And then I'm gonna carefully just try to cut that out. It won't be perfect, but it will get the job done until I can start tinkering. The building part is just a small part of the whole process. It's the refining and all the stuff you do later, how you glaze it, all that good stuff. That makes a big difference in how well something turns out. And sometimes, you can work and work and work and you get all this time and energy put into something and you finish it, and up until even after you finish it, you pull it out of the kiln, you think it's the best thing ever, and you get it home and you live with it for a while and you look at it and pretty soon it's just not as great as you thought it was. I lost track of my marks. Oh, there it is. Even though I did all that, it still didn't turn out quite right. So I just do that to kind of push that on there a little bit. And then, I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I probably want to blend it together a little bit. Maybe something like that. I don't want to go crazy with this because I don't want to lose all that texture I put on there. But I don't want the bottom to fall off either. All right, maybe I could take this thing and that'll work. I'm gonna work some of that texture back into it. So I'll add some more pieces there. Gotta get some scoring and slip in here. This is coming apart. All right, so you get the idea. Just different things you can do, give you different ideas to play around with. Hopefully you're all enjoying the process and getting creative with it. And I can't wait to see all your projects. All right.